Hare Ganga Mahadev Sri Shankara Parvati Pati Mahadev Sri Shankara.
Namaste, it's Sahara Rose, and welcome back to the Highest Self podcast, a place where we discuss what makes you your soul's highest evolvement. And before we get started, I have an announcement for you. So on my own spiritual journey, I realized that I wasn't resonating with more information. I always felt like there was another book, another thing to do, another way to become, and I was really yearning for a form of spirituality that invited my whole self, my femininity, my creativity, my desire to be in my physical body, in my pleasure, in my joy, in my heart, in my womb, in my dance. For me, spirituality is not about leaving the body, but really about being so immersed in it that you become one with it. So this month in Rose Gold Goddesses, the Sacred Sisterhood Collective, all about embodying the goddess within, we are diving deep into Shakti, which is this principle, this essence of divine feminine wisdom. I take you on a journey to learn about how Shakti shows up in you, how she is your breath, your body, your desire to be immersed in all things rather than separate from it. We dive deep into the differences between spirit and soul, and I guide you through practices and rituals to connect more to the Shakti essence that lives inside of you. The path of the goddess is not to detach yourself from the world enough that you can handle being in it, but rather creating the world you desire to be a part of. And that is what we are doing this month in Rose Gold Goddesses. So if this is calling your name, you're seeking to make dance and embodiment your spiritual practice, then come join us in this Rose Gold Goddesses circle. It is included in your membership at rosegoldgoddesses.com, or you can try it on its own at rosegoldgoddesses.com/Shakti. You can find those links in the show notes, and I'm super excited to invite you inside. This is one of those episodes that I just hopped on the mic because I have something I really want to just share with you guys. And it's an observation that I've been having around just spirituality and where the community is at right now. And we can really see this in terms of terminology that we're using or references or the ways that we're looking at ourselves. And I love looking at things from a bird's eye perspective and noticing just the larger trends and where things are going. I think one of my gifts is being able to see things from that like really high level perspective and then bring it all down into what this really means for us today. And I want to have this conversation with you guys on ascension versus embodiment. Okay. So if you're newer to the spirituality world, you may not have noticed kind of the differences here, but what I've really been observing is this kind of split between two ways of looking at spirit. And both ways are totally valid. It's kind of like Western versus Vedic astrology, or if you're more into human design or gene keys. However, they really inform us of how we see the world. And we may go through different phases of seeing it more through the ascension lens versus through the embodiment lens. And I'll share with you how I see it as well. So a lot of us, when we get into spirituality, we see it as a ladder. We see it as, I'm here in this 3D realm. This 3D realm is fear and it's chaos, and it doesn't see the magic and the synchronicities of the world, and people just do what they're told. They don't think for themselves. And I can see myself that I don't want to be part of this. I don't reconcile with this. So the next, phase that comes is that 4D, and that's the questioning. That's the wanting to know what else is out there, maybe going down different rabbit holes, trying to figure out your truth. And then the 5D is where everything is based off of love and unity and joy and expansion. So I've done a podcast on this episode on the 3, 4, and 5D perspectives, and it's something that totally makes sense to me and in terminology that I also use in my life. Now, where I see now this languaging and this 3, 4, 5D thing has gotten very, very big this year is now it's sort of turned into this ladder of ascension that Some people are going to make it to 5D and others won't. And it's turned into a type of, not with everyone, but with some people, a type of superiority and a type of, I'm more conscious than you. And I'm going to make it to this other world out there that everything is incredible and, rainbows and unicorns and dolphins everywhere, which again, I love. And these 3D people are going to stay behind with all of their problems. And what I understand it to be is it's a perspective of how we see the world. It's not this physical place that we go to, but when we oftentimes get stuck in this languaging, we see it as this ladder of ascension. I'm going to get higher, reach bigger states, elevate. And it can feel like you're at a higher level than other people. Now, again, this podcast is called Highest Self Podcast, so it's not saying to not use those words. What I'm inviting for you to ponder is, are you looking at this as a way to feel superiority over others? To feel like we're the woke gang, we're the people who get it, we're the people who are going to make it to the 5D world, and the rest of them are not. Instead of seeing yourself connected to the world, a part of everything. And this conversation, it's really stemmed in a masculine versus feminine way of seeing the world. So again, masculine and feminine doesn't really have to do with gender as much as the energetic qualities. We can also call it Shiva and Shakti, which I actually prefer to do. Shiva being masculine consciousness, Shakti being feminine. So the Shiva consciousness is very about wanting to leave and find stillness. And the way that it does so is to separate itself from the world around it. And that's important. Sometimes you do need to find stillness. Sometimes you do need to separate yourself. And we're not going to create a better world if we all just try to dip out in peace and good luck with your problems. The Shakti, the feminine, is immersed in the world. It is connected to all things. It sees the children and the plants and the animals as part of itself. It doesn't want to learn how to cope with the world or go to the Himalayas and meditate and peace out and good luck all y'all. It wants to be a part of this new world. That is why it's here. Now, this movement is the embodiment. It's not about ascending. It's not about going somewhere. It's not about leaving the body, but rather it's about fully being here in this body, on this planet, having this human experience. Human, where we cry and we shit and we have periods and all of these very human things, which I don't know if that happens in the 5D or not, but it's happening here and it's part of the experience. And sometimes when we try to get so galactic, it's what about being human? And for myself in my own journey, I have found the deeper I go into my own consciousness, the deeper I realize that it's not anywhere outside of me. It's not, once I reach this level or make it to this dimension or planet or anything else that's above me, it's not a ladder, but rather it's a spiral. Now, I like to think of the spiral because if you imagine a spiral in front of you, it's a circular motion that keeps entwining further inwards. So when you're going through a spiral, let's say you're going through a big maze or something, you'll find yourself going back to exactly where you were before, but on a deeper level. So I don't see it as much as an ascending of I just get forward and and that's it. I see it more of a spiral of we look at something and then we deepen with it. And then we do other work and then we come back to it at a deeper level and a deeper level and a deeper level, and it never ends. That is life. That is the journey. It's not to become something that you are not, but rather to further embody who you are. That's living your dharma. Your dharma, your soul's purpose is not something that is outside of you. It is not something that you got to get to or ascend to. It's something that you already were born as. You already are whole. And when we sometimes see the world in this fragmented way, it reflects how we see ourselves. It's like that Outcast song, I know you like to think, yo, shit don't stink, but, our shit stink. We're humans. We're here on this planet having this experience, having these emotions, having all these feelings. We aren't here to bypass over that. And it's fun sometimes to not think about it. It's fun sometimes to think about other things, but truly, we wouldn't be incarnated on this planet if we didn't have work to do here. So as someone who used to see it as like, oh, only if I can become an author, then I'll have it all figured out. Only if I can, get this goal, whatever, then I'll have it figured out. I've realized that it's a deepening. It's a softening. It's an anchoring. Because we'll actually forever be working on our relationship with our parents and looking at our childhood and looking at our ancestors and looking at our fears. That's a forever journey, guys. Sorry, in 5D, it's still there, but you deepen and it doesn't feel so scary and it gets easier and you learn your practices and you're able to move through it with more ease and grace, but it doesn't ever disappear. So I think it's important to say this when right now spirituality can be so focused on this ascension ladder, to really look at it if it serves you as more of this embodiment spiral, more of a deepening, more of a remembering. I see that the more that you can let go of what you are not, you step into who you are. And sometimes we try to go outside of ourselves. If only I can find this or learn that or get this teaching or figure this other thing out that I don't know. We give up our power that way. You were born knowing. Your soul knows what's up. It's inside of you. It was encoded within your DNA. You came knowing exactly who you are and how you're meant to serve and what your sacred mission on this planet is. It's just that we've forgotten. We've forgotten our own magnitude. We've let other people's stories be more powerful than our own. So choose your stories. You can look at it from whatever lens empowers you. But for myself, the more that I anchor into the physical body and I embrace her, and I don't try to escape from her, I don't try to, become an alien. For me, that's not what serves me. But rather, the more that I can feel connected to my vessel and every part of her and my breath and how I'm showing up and how I'm holding my shoulders, how maybe this feeling in my hip is connected to an emotion that I haven't fully expressed. The more I anchor into that, the more free, liberated, and expansive I become. So I'd love to know what serves you. Is it the ascension? And that's beautiful. Is it the embodiment? Is it some version of the two? I still definitely can see things from the 3, 4, and 5D perspective. And I'm still so grateful to be here in my earth suit. So it can be both. So let me know how this resonates with you. Please share it over on your Instagram story. Share with me a takeaway I'd love to see. I'd love to share. And if you have not yet, pre-order my new book, Discover Your Dharma, a Vedic Guide to Finding Your Purpose. This book goes deep into all things recognizing the truth of your soul, who you are, how you're meant to show up, what your dharma is, and then also how to actually take action on it and bring it to life. So it's not just this thing that you want to do one day, but it's actually something that you get to step into right now in this new year, stepping into your fullest expression, because that, my dear, is why you are here. So you can head over to iamsahararose.com/dharma. Whether you are pre-ordering it or ordering it after it comes out January 5th, you can submit your receipt over there and you'll receive different bonuses that include meditation, tapping practices, materials for doing your own Discover Your Dharma book club, and so much more. And if you have not yet, take my new quiz, the Dharma Archetype Quiz, which will tell you if you are a teacher, a visionary, a nurturer, a researcher, and there are 9 Dharma archetypes that you get to explore. So that's over on dharmaarchetypequiz.com. Both of those links are in the show notes, and I'm so grateful to have you here. Namaste.